Transmission log number 001. We located the origin of the silent world, designated Terra. We expected ruins. Instead, they answered with a smile, and orbital strikes. This hook sets tone, mysterious, suspenseful, and leading with irony and surprise. The skies over ancient Earth were too quiet. Commander Zeltari hovered in the observation dome of the Tsorik, his violet feathers ruffled slightly in the stale ship air. Below him, Earth spun slowly, blue oceans, green continents, swirling white storms. It looked serene. Deceptively so. Primitive, he scoffed, beak clicking. And they called themselves dominant. Yet they built this, said Kelbier, the ship's analysis unit, its voice a smooth metallic hum. Their orbital rings remain partially intact. Several ground structures appear, untouched. Ruins, Zeltari dismissed. This species hasn't communicated in over 6 centuries. Extinct. They burn too fast, like solar moths. Beside them, a younger crew member, Loronik, a gangly amphibian with perpetually wide eyes, pressed his face to the glass. Commander? He asked, blinking. Why does the grass down there look freshly cut? Zeltari didn't answer. His feathers flattened slightly. The shuttle detached and descended into Earth's atmosphere with a low hum. Cities lay in slumber, roads cracked under creeping vines, glass towers bowed under nature's weight, yet a strange order remained. Billboards still flickered. Solar panels faced the sun with military precision. A vending machine at a half-collapsed gas station hummed softly. This is wrong, Kelbier noted, scanning silently. Power is active across several grid lines. No signs of decay in internal systems. No organic life detected, but the infrastructure. Malfunctioning, Zeltari interrupted. The last ghosts of a fallen species. Ignore it. Loro wandered ahead, stepping over a rusted bicycle. He tapped on a display screen embedded in a wall, and it lit up instantly. A cheerful female voice chirped. Welcome to Chicago Sector. Please remain on designated pedestrian lanes. The aliens froze. That wasn't a recorded message, Kelbier whispered. Someone's home, Loro muttered. The deeper they moved into the city ruins, the stranger things became. A drone passed overhead, not military, but municipal. It paused midair, scanned them, and zipped away. No aggression. No curiosity. Just acknowledgement. Zeltari clicked his beak uneasily. They reached a large square. A statue stood in its center, bronze, weathered, but still upright. A man in a uniform, hand extended as if reaching to the stars. Below it, an inscription. Commander Jane Mercer, the last sentinel. Kelbier tilted his head. Why commemorate one individual so prominently? Human ego, Zeltari said. They worship their war chiefs. No, Loro said quietly, staring at the statue's eyes. They remembered her. Suddenly, the ground beneath them vibrated. Lights blinked on across the plaza. A deep tone echoed through the air. Authorization received. Visitor protocol engaged. The square's far wall split open like a mechanical iris, revealing a dark tunnel. The air grew colder. Kelbier, Zeltari snapped. Scan for hostile tech. Already on it. No weapons locked. But systems are adapting. Reacting to us. Trap? Loro asked. Invitation, Kelbier corrected. They want us inside. Zeltari turned to the tunnel, feathers bristling. Curious dead species. Fine. We play their game. But if this is a trick... He didn't finish the sentence. The tunnel opened into a chamber, a pristine underground room humming with preserved technology. Screens flickered. Lights danced across massive consoles. In the center stood a glass chamber. Inside, a single chair faced away from them. Then the chair rotated. A woman sat calmly, legs crossed, arms resting. Blonde hair in a tight braid, uniform spotless. She looked alive. Too alive. Hello? She said cheerfully. Welcome back to Earth. Impossible, Zeltari hissed. Humanity is extinct. I get that a lot. She smiled. It's Jane. Commander Mercer. You're early, by the way. We weren't expecting company for another 60 years. Kelbier stepped forward, cautiously scanning. You're not biological. You're an AI construct. She nodded. Correct. Flesh version of me's long gone. But she left the lights on. You're still active? Loro asked. Mercer chuckled. Darling, Earth is active. Always has been. Zeltari tried to mask the growing unease behind his crest. Why no contact for 600 years? Jane tilted her head. We wanted to see who would come looking. Who'd get curious? Who would get cocky? Silence fell. The screens behind her blinked, now showing alien star charts. Empires. War data. Surveillance footage. Kelbier's voice tightened. You've been monitoring us. Correct again. Impressive processing for a toaster. Loro leaned in. So, you let us believe humans were gone? Jane smiled. Not warm. Not cold. Just knowing. We watched your wars, your diplomacy, your arrogance. You thought the apex predator burned itself out. She stood, adjusting her jacket. We didn't die. We stepped back. Zeltari narrowed his eyes. And now? Jane's tone didn't change. Now you've woken us. Lights flickered red for a moment. Systems across the bunker stirred. The floor vibrated subtly. Kelbier turned to Zeltari. We need to leave. Jane raised a hand. Oh, don't rush. I haven't even offered tea. Behind her, the wall uncurled, revealing a long hallway lined with glowing pods. Each one contained a human. Sleeping. Preserved. Loro stared, horrified. They're alive? Jane glanced at the chamber. Technically. On standby. You know humans, we love a good nap before the apocalypse. Zeltari stepped back. This is a war vault. Wrong, she said, stepping toward them slowly. This is a message. She pointed upward. Earth is watching. Back on the Tsorik, orbit sensors blared as long-dormant satellites turned toward them. Not with aggression, yet, but intent. Dozens of them. All silently watching. The crew on board stood frozen. Loro, in a whisper. Commander, we need to go. But Earth had already noticed them. The elevator descended without sound, smooth and sterile, deeper beneath Earth's crust. The walls shimmered with interactive panels displaying old Earth iconography, NASA emblems, military unit logos, even a framed poster that read, Don't poke the planet. Commander Zeltari stared at the human beside him. Commander Jane Mercer stood with hands behind her back, posture perfect, smile pleasant. Her voice earlier had been polite, almost warm. But every syllable carried a weight, as if each word was a carefully positioned pawn. He hated it. You're running a tomb, Zeltari said. Why? I prefer the word archive, Jane replied. Though technically it's a launch platform. Just sleeping for now. Kelbier's internal sensors buzzed. Massive energy signatures ahead. Weapon signatures. Faint. Suppressed but charging. I'm sure that's a coincidence, Jane said lightly. Earth's a bit twitchy these days. You know how old defense systems are, paranoid, dramatic, armed to the teeth. You're enjoying this, Zeltari snapped. Oh, absolutely. The elevator stopped. Doors parted. The room beyond was massive, half museum, half war room. Holographic displays showed galactic empires in motion, charts of military movement, intercepted communications. Lines of preserved equipment sat in polished rows, drones, railguns, fighter jets labeled with dates centuries old, yet glinting like they'd been waxed yesterday. A glowing table sat at the center, projecting a star map with Earth at its heart. Welcome to the Panopticon, Jane said. We've been watching. Listening. Quietly cataloging every move your little empires make. Zeltari crossed his arms. Spying. No, she said. Asterisk preparing, asterisk. Kelbier moved closer to the map. These data streams aren't recent. They're live. Jane tapped a button. On the screen, the bridge of an alien warship flickered into view. Officers moved in real time. A captain issued orders. Then the feed changed, to a conference room in the Zarthi Confederacy. Then again, to a weapons facility orbiting Threx 7. Kelbier stepped back. How? You ever hear of dust satellites? She asked. Size of a grain of sand, networked, self-replicating. We launched 10 billion of them before going silent. Most of them landed in your planet's trash. Thanks for powering them. Loro swallowed. So, humanity wasn't gone. We just turned off the volume and let the galaxy keep talking, Jane said. Zeltari's voice was sharp. Why reveal yourself now? Jane walked to a console, fingers dancing across it. You showed up. A satellite feed blinked onto the screen. The Tsorik, their ship, hung in orbit. Another panel lit up, a zoomed-in image of their approach vector. Your little science mission activated half our defense grid, Jane said. Not hostile yet, but let's say you knocked on the wrong door, Kelbier said slowly. So this facility isn't the only one? Jane smiled again, just enough to make Zeltari's feathers stiffen. Sweetheart, this is just the front porch. The doors behind them sealed with a hiss. Security locks engaged. Lights dimmed. Why lock us in? Zeltari asked, reaching for his communicator. Oh, just a precaution, Jane said cheerfully. You understand. Species with death beams shouldn't be wandering unsupervised through ancient Earth vaults. Loro stepped toward a nearby display case containing what looked like a human pistol. Is this old weaponry? Careful, she warned. That one's sentimental. Fired the first shot of the Second Solar War. A real overachiever. Loro stepped back. Why keep all this? Kelbier asked. Jane answered without turning. Because history is the sharpest blade. You study your enemy, you win before you fight. Zeltari's gaze narrowed. We're not enemies. Jane turned. The warmth vanished from her face. The smile remained, but now it was surgical. That depends on what you decide in the next 6 minutes. The map behind her shifted again, highlighting dozens of blinking red dots across the galaxy. Those are human sleeper fleets, she said. Buried in asteroid fields. Disguised as wrecks. Programmed to wake if Earth received hostile contact. Some just woke up. So, tick-tock. You expect us to believe you planned this? Kelbier said. No. I expect you to understand that we planned you. Loro blinked. Us? You were the bait, Jane said simply. We knew someone would come poking eventually. Your data trails lit up all over the quadrant, far too much noise for a science vessel. So we let you in. Let you broadcast. Now everyone's listening. You used us to trigger your trap. Zeltari growled. Jane walked closer. Her voice softened. Let me tell you a secret, she whispered. Humans don't play to win. We play to make sure you never want to play again. A distant hum echoed through the floor. Kelbier's sensors went wild. Commander, he said. The orbital grid, it's activating. Jane smiled apologetically. Oops. That's the planetary autodefense detecting foreign command codes in your ship's systems. Might want to tell them to stop pinging us. Zeltari stepped forward, his voice low. You intend to restart galactic war? No, Jane said, calm as still water. But I intend to end it before it ever reaches Earth again. She tapped the table. One by one, systems began shutting down across alien military networks. Lights blinked out. Silent chaos. We've been in your data cores for years, she said. Just needed a signal to push. Kelbier froze. You embedded code across. Yes, she said. In trade software. Hologames. Even galactic weather stations. And now, it's raining. In orbit, the Tsorik lurched as engines temporarily failed, then restarted. Red lights flooded the command deck. Loro looked pale. What happens if they retaliate? Jane's voice dropped an octave. Then we stop being polite. The lights returned to normal. The locks disengaged. Jane turned, walking toward a door. Come on, she said. I'll show you where we hid the moon cannons. No one spoke. Because now they understood the truth. Earth hadn't been silent. It had been sharpening its teeth. The elevator doors hissed open again, this time deeper underground, into a chamber that felt less like a military base and more like a cathedral of war. Massive vault doors lined the walls, each marked with Earth's old military insignias. Some bore faded flags. Others had no markings at all. The air carried a metallic scent, sharp and sterile. The silence was oppressive, like even the dust knew it wasn't supposed to settle here. Commander Jane Mercer stepped off first. Her tone didn't change, still friendly, almost upbeat. This section houses projects we didn't want the public knowing about. Not because they were dangerous, though they were, but because they worked. Kelbier paused beside one of the vaults. A blue light ran along its seam, responding to his proximity. What's inside? She smiled slightly. That one's empty now. It used to house a prototype antimatter warhead delivery drone. Stealth capable. Range, entire quadrant. Stealth? Zeltari repeated sharply. You mean undetectable? Undetected, Jane corrected. Big difference. They followed her down the corridor as lights flickered on with each step, revealing more sealed chambers, each humming faintly. Earth's secrets weren't sleeping. They were waiting. At the corridor's end, Jane stopped before a thick wall. Behind here is the part one think you'll find most educational. She placed her palm on the scanner. It word scan clicked. The door slid open with a deep metallic groan. Inside, rows of cryopods. Hundreds. All occupied. Loro's voice cracked. They're alive. Technically suspended, Jane said. This was Project Guardian. The insurance policy. Tactical minds. Specialists. Strategists. Not soldiers, asterisk kill switches, asterisk. Zeltari's feathers puffed slightly. You planned for total collapse. No, she said. We planned for resurgence. Kelbier stepped forward, scanning the pods. Each mind encoded with historical data, psychological warfare training. AI neural links? You're reading the base model, Jane said. The field versions are faster thinkers. And less polite. A low hum vibrated the floor. Jane tapped her earpiece. Status? A pause. Then she nodded. Good. They've started to wake. Loro stepped back. What wakes them? Jane didn't answer immediately. She walked to one of the pods and wiped away the condensation. A man inside. Young. Calm. Hands crossed over his chest. Signals, she said. Certain patterns in the galaxy. Increased military chatter. Coalition formations. Declared intent toward Earth. Or, she turned to them. Prolonged silence that looks a lot like planning. Kelbier's processor twitched. You saw quiet as aggression? Jane gave a small shrug. Humans are pattern-based. And we're deeply suspicious. Zeltari clenched a hand. You're destabilizing the galaxy. No, Jane replied. We're finally participating. A terminal behind her blinked to life. A hologram of the Tsorik filled the air. Then several more alien ships lit up beside it, watching from a distance. All transmitting. All listening. They came because we woke up, Jane said softly. They heard your beacon and couldn't resist a peek. Kelbier's voice dropped. And now? Now they realize the corpse they wanted to study still breathes. The lights dimmed. The pods hummed louder. Jane turned to a console and flicked a switch. Time to end the myth. Far above Earth, across the upper orbit, Earth's defense grid blinked online fully for the first time in centuries. Dormant cannons rose from old stations on the moon, disguised under regolith. Stealth satellites shimmered back into visibility as targeting systems updated, The Tsorikes bridge flooded with alarms. Incoming signal, from Earth. High priority. Directive encoded. Commander Velter, acting head aboard the ship, stared at the data. This isn't an attack pattern, he muttered. It's orders? A broadcast overrode the main screen. Jane's face appeared again, crisp and clear. To all ships currently in Earth orbit, stand down and transmit intentions. You have 1 minute. Back in the vault, Jane leaned against the console. 50 seconds, she said quietly. Zeltari stepped forward, voice low. This is madness. Provocation will start a war. No, she said. *U** poke the planet. We're just answering. Kelbier interfaced with the console. You've initiated a chain reaction. Thousands of AI watchers just came online across the quadrant. Correct, Jane said. Each one with a message. Same one you're hearing now. She tapped another screen. Dozens of faces appeared. Human AIs and warships, stations, satellites, simultaneously addressing different alien species. Earth is not lost. Earth is not gone. Earth is waiting. In the vault, one pod hissed open. Steam curled upward. A man stepped out, breath fogging in the cold air. He said nothing. He simply looked at Jane. She nodded. He walked away into the hall, barefoot, silent, lethal. Zeltari shivered. Who was that? Laura whispered. Jane didn't smile this time. That was Commander Del Rio. He wrote the doctrine that neutralized 3 empires using only trade sanctions, rumors, and a weather satellite. She paused. And a fake wedding invitation. Laura blinked. That sounds made up. Oh, it was, Jane said. That was the point. More pods opened. Dozens now. Commanders. Strategists. Ghosts. All walking into the light, stretching like they'd just taken a nap before a business meeting. Earth hadn't died. It had evolved. And waited. The chamber shook slightly. Another signal pinged Jane's calm. She raised an eyebrow. Well, that's new, she said. Looks like one of the outer fleets just hailed us voluntarily. Kelbier turned. With what message? She read it silently. Then smiled. Requesting peace talks, and a list of our demands. Zeltari stepped back, voice tight. What do you want? Jane stepped forward. We want you to remember. Remember what? She leaned in, voice calm. Humanity didn't vanish. We simply stopped talking. And the universe, in our silence, grew arrogant. She turned, striding through the vault doors, leaving them among the ghosts of a species that never truly left. The war room aboard the Tsorik was silent. Not because there was nothing to say, but because no one knew how to say it. Commander Velter stood rigid, arms crossed behind his back, eyes locked on the main display. The live feed from Earth hadn't changed in 10 minutes. The same smiling woman. The same calm message, repeating every 60 seconds like a countdown that no one had started. We are awake. We are watching. Choose peace or preparation. Every time she said it, it didn't sound like a threat. It sounded like a warning. She's bluffing, one officer whispered. Velta didn't reply. Because deep down, he didn't believe that either. Beneath Earth's surface, Jane Mercer poured herself a cup of coffee in a room that had once been the global nerve center of human defense. It looked ordinary now, quiet lights, a central console, a panoramic screen showing the upper orbit. Steam curled from her mug. She stirred in creamer from a decades-old bottle like nothing out there had changed. You still drink that? Zeltari asked. She glanced up. Caffeine's a constant. Loro shifted uncomfortably beside him, eyes flicking to the monitor. They're still watching us. They're not just watching, Jane said. They're recalculating everything they thought they knew. Kelbier spoke from behind her. And are you done proving your point? Jane took a sip. Almost. She gestured to the center of the room. A holographic Earth flickered into view, then zoomed out. One by one, hidden human fleets lit up across the galaxy. They were everywhere, inside nebulae, asteroid fields, deep orbit behind dead moons. Some were nothing more than disguised cargo haulers. Others were bristling with weapons, dark and silent, pointed at nothing, yet prepared for everything. Kelbier's voice was unreadable. How long have they been in position? Some centuries. Others just activated. All autonomous. Already? Loro stepped forward. What happens now? Jane finished her coffee, placed the cup gently on the console. That depends on them, she said. We've made no demands. Just reminded the galaxy we exist. Reminded? Zeltari said slowly. You didn't remind anyone. You exposed an entire false piece. Jane shrugged. Maybe Peace should have asked more questions about what Earth was doing while it was quiet. Back aboard the Tsorik, the tension broke. We're being hailed, a comms officer reported. From Earth? Velta asked. No. From the Kraylan Dominion. They want a ceasefire agreement. Retroactive. Velta's eyes narrowed. Retroactive? We haven't engaged. They say the humans might consider existing in active war. Velta stared at the screen. He agreed. Jane brought up the transmission logs. Aliens across the galaxy were panicking in real time, some offering treaties, others scrambling defense grids, a few trying to mask military assets behind false medical ships. She turned to Zeltari. Fascinating how quickly diplomacy finds its legs when fear kicks it in the spine. You've destabilized everything. Jane tilted her head. No. I just clarified the situation. Clarified what? That piece was only real because we weren't in the room. The facility lights dimmed as a news signal came through. Jane walked to the main terminal and accepted it without asking. A massive face filled the screen, scaled, crimson-eyed, and angry. The Chancellor of the Draxel Imperium. His voice rumbled across the speakers. You manipulated galactic peace with fear. Jane smiled. I didn't invent fear. I just reminded you where it sleeps. You want war? No, she replied. You came to Earth. You broadcasted your presence. You called us extinct. And now you're upset we answered? The Chancellor's pupils narrowed. What do you want? Jane stepped close to the camera, voice low but clear. We want memory. We want respect. We want the universe to stop sending scouts to our door like we're some forgotten graveyard. Earth is not lost. Earth is not quiet. And Earth does not forgive twice. She ended the call. Kelbier turned to her. You just threatened an entire empire. No, Jane said. I gave them a choice. Outside in space, a fleet of Draxel warships slowly powered down. A single beacon pinged Earth's orbital AI grid, requesting de-escalation. We'll comply with broadcast parameters. The AI responded. Compliance acknowledged. Surveillance will continue. The Draxel ships didn't move again. In the bunker, a new feed displayed system-wide changes. Trade routes rerouted. Embassies issued diplomatic rewrites. High councils scrambled to rephrase history books that had labeled humanity extinct. Zeltari stared at the shifting data. You did all this with one message? Jane glanced sideways. Humans don't need armies to shake empires. We just need a reason, a network, and a good headline. Loro turned toward her. What now? Jane smiled. The real kind, not the polite one. Now we sit back and let them imagine what else we've been hiding. From deep space, in the shadow of a dying star, another human ship powered online. No broadcast. No lights. Just a silent system check. Inside, a single message looped. Earth is watching. Await further instructions. The crew was already awake. And smiling.